Hey, what's up, people? So I'm doing a topic video. My one friend says that he wants me to cover this topic as far as should women work. And he sent me a video that sounds, I'm gonna be honest, it sounds pretty silly to me. Simply because, I feel like everybody should be given the ability to work. I mean, nobody, quote unquote, wants to work their life away, but it's not about working, it's about, you know, being self sufficient. So it's kind of falling flat for me. One second, let me see. Broadcasting only mic. Okay, let me fast forward. There must be some technicality to where they won't show the video. Well, what I'm looking at, they won't show. Okay, here we go. Let's see. Lab now. I see it, lab. I see it, lab. Okay. Let me post a link. The link should be available. But I want to talk about this topic because the topic, I feel like it's common sense. Common sense. Link. One second. I'm listening while I'm dozing off. Okay. Yeah, he's one second. I mean, it is late, so but I do want to cover this topic because I feel like it's necessary. So let me just post a link, and we'll be on to the video. There we go. One second. Is he already there? Spike, is this you already here? I think it is. Hey, what's up, Raining? Welcome to the video. Yeah, I'm covering a topic. You are free to give your commentary. My one friend wanted me to listen to this video, and he wanted me to give my commentary as far as, a video that says, should women work? And like I said, I think, yes, they should always be given the ability to work. It's about, people being self-sufficient. When you don't work, people have the ability, the power to tell you what to do. That's the catch-22 of not working. You know, when you have to depend on somebody else to feed you, it is not as easygoing as it sounds. Because you're basically reduced to a child. You have to depend on somebody else to pay your way. That's not always that's not always safe. One second, let me drop to a party. But yeah, it's not always safe to depend on somebody else to, just sit up there and, they can determine if you eat or if you don't eat. Let me see. I mean, I don't like that whole idea. Okay, here we go. So nobody just pops up randomly. Here we go, back to the game. Okay, my friend Spike says, of course women should work if they want, but play the old nigga vid. I'm going to lay down. All right, man, 1 second, man. I'm going to play the video. I'm going to play the video. It's this one guy. I think he's Arab or something. He's saying that women shouldn't work. And women who live in Dubai and Saudi Arabia are living it up. I'm not sure how true that is. But they're supposed to be living it up as, married women who don't need to work. I would think their movements will be somewhat limited. That side of town. You can't just do anything and everything because your husband is paying your way. I'm sure there's some rules and regulations and restrictions that are highly enforced. Let's tell the truth. I'm sure it's a sin to put out the idea that they're doing with whatever they want. So they're doing whatever they want. Under certain guidelines. Like, it's not like Las Vegas that's out of town. Let's not play. You said, need your words to leak into my... Oh, man, come on, pause with that, Spike. Pause. They should be able to work. Exactly. Women should be able to work. I firmly agree with that. Let me see. Where was that video? Here, post a link to that video again, Spike. Post a link to that video again. I gotta pull it up on this whole, tablet. Because I don't like that whole idea of women not being able to work. I feel like that does come from a controlling stance. Like, it's not even to, let the woman be independent. Like, that's some set up talk. You want to set them up to where they're dependent and, they can't do anything. Like, that's way too controlling. Because it moves from her being able to work but not choosing to work, to, her not working because she can't work. Like, you know what I'm saying? It goes to that kind of stuff. To where work is phased out. She's just not supposed to work. And the next thing you know, she's living under the thumb of the one that does. I mean, let's be honest to where that goes. It does go that direction. You don't know these dudes' mindset. Let's see. This is an inhumane workplace. Dude, you're making me work tired. You're making me work with a tired brain. Yeah, man, I need you to get the video. Just tell me the title of the video. If you tell me the title of the video, then I'll Google search it now. Shoot. Like, you wanted me to do this video, so, it is what it is. Sent link in text. I don't see the link, man. Type messages. All messages. 1 second, man. Jeez. I only agree with people don't want to work part. 1 second. Phone text. Okay. Phone text. All right, man. 1 second. Let me look it up now. Because I don't go for that whole, women shouldn't work. Because like I said, I feel like it's a setup, Dudes who stand strong on that whole women shouldn't work, that goes another place. To where it goes to the avenue of them trying to be controlling. You shouldn't want to be that type of dude. You should want to be the guy to where she feels safe enough to give you control rather than, it's some abusive setup to where you feel like you have to keep her under wraps for her to stick around. Okay, here we go. From Middle Nation. It says, the femme capitalist right to work.
But what about the fact that women want?
Okay, here we go. I pull it up on this one. Pull up my phone.
Most women want to have a career.
Well, I don't believe that's true. I don't believe that for a second. You're telling me what you've been told and what you've been told to believe, not what you actually believe and not what's actually the case. No, I don't believe for a second that most women want to work and most women want to have a career. That's PR. That's propaganda. I mean, you can't say, honestly, that you think that most women want to work and also say that women have equal intelligence as men, because if they have equal intelligence as men, what intelligent person would choose to work if they had a choice not to? I know a man wouldn't.
You see what I'm saying? You can't tell me that they have the equal intelligence of men and tell me they want to work. Like, why does it go straight to intelligence? Like I said, this all sounds like a setup. It all sounds like he's trying to lay the foundation for his point of trying to control the opposite sex, which I feel like is pretty cheap. Like I said, it's not about trying to control the woman. It's about her feeling comfortable enough to relinquish control. I don't go for that whole controlling disposition. I feel like that's the level of a loser. And when I mean loser, I mean somebody who's just inept. You have to control somebody because if they ever had the free will to do what they want, they would leave you. Or they would choose better. Let's see. Okay, the channel. I'll look it up later.
If given the choice. No, I know that most women don't want to work. I don't need to see the statistics. I know that most women don't want to work because I work. So I know what it's like. No, you can only convince a woman or anyone else that it's wonderful. It's just so fulfilling to dress up in business clothes and go to an office all day if they've never worked. You can maybe sell that message to young, inexperienced people, but anyone who has been in the workforce for any length of time will tell you it is not exactly living the dream. But you know who is living the dream? You know who really is living the dream? Married women in Dubai, married women in Saudi Arabia.
I don't know about that. I don't know if they're living the dream. And I'm not saying that stuff to be insulting. I don't know if women in Saudi Arabia or Dubai are living the dream. Like, define dream. Define what we mean by dream. Because I feel like, stuff is very restrictive that side of town. It's not like, living it up in Las Vegas. I feel like there's too many restrictions. I mean, you can say whatever, cultural this and cultural that. But the whole living the dream thing, I don't know, It's like, are you living the dream in a place where, you can't do but so much? I mean, how are you living a dream if your movements are, if you're restricted? I don't understand that. Like, how are you having fun if you can be, if all your fun can be cracked down by the morality police? And I'm not, like I said, I'm not saying that to be insulting. I'm saying that to be real. I'm like, how are you, quote unquote, living the dream if your dream has a whole bunch of rules?
And not if they've never worked. You can maybe sell that message to young, inexperienced people. But anyone who has been in the workforce for any length of time will tell you it is not exactly living the dream. But you know who is living the dream? You know who really is living the dream? Married women in Dubai, married women in Saudi Arabia. And not just because they get to go on shopping sprees with their husbands, gold credit cards.
And that's another thing, man. That whole narrative, they're going on shopping sprees and gold credit cards. Okay. He's really letting on thick when it comes to him trying to sell this narrative of, you don't need to work.
People, but anyone who has been in the workforce for any length of time will tell you it is not exactly living the dream. But you know who is living the dream? You know who really is living the dream? Married women in Dubai, married women in Saudi Arabia. And not just because they get to go on shopping sprees with their husbands, gold credit cards. But because due to the fact that they have so much support from their family, so much support from their husbands, so much support from their fathers, so much support from what you would call patriarchy, you probably didn't know that women in the UAE and women in Saudi Arabia own a higher percentage of small and medium-sized businesses than women in America.
Okay, you know what? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. When you start comparing other nations to America, America might not be the best of the best of the best, but when it comes to, freedom of movement, when it comes to what you can and can't do, I wouldn't choose to be rich in a place where, my movements were under, lock and key. Or, I was, I'm sorry. You're not going to compare this side of town to another side of town to where I can be punished or sent to jail because I didn't do something a certain way. You have to watch your mouth go on that side of town. You can't. It's not about wanting to be reckless. It's about, hey man, the police can get down on you if you know what I'm saying, move in a certain manner. I'm sorry, like you're not gonna sell that to me. I don't care what business you own. And I would have to look that up. I would have to look that up. Like what businesses is he talking about? Because it's like, he's trying to sell the idea that, they have businesses and they got all this money and they're dealing better than if they were living in America. Like you need more. You need somebody to believe you, bro. I'm sorry.
You probably didn't know that women in the UAE and women in Saudi Arabia own a higher percentage of small and medium-sized businesses than women in America, by at least 10%. That's ownership. That's entrepreneurship, not employeeship. But of course, they're oppressed, right? No, most people don't want to work. Now, obviously, there are exceptions. And there are people who can, genuinely derive a lot of satisfaction from their work. But we all know that they could find infinite other ways to achieve that and better than that level of satisfaction if they weren't wage slaves and had control of their time.
I'm messing with that whole wage slaves. It's work, man. What do you expect? It's not slavery, it's equal exchange. Well, it depends. But, all that wage slave stuff, slave isn't something to be thrown around lightly. A slave is a slave. An employee is an employee. If anything, you might say indentured servant to where you're receiving like scraps or something. But messing with the whole slave narrative. A wage slave. Yeah, it's called a check. It's called a check.
Of course, they're oppressed, right? No, most people don't want to work. Now, obviously, there are exceptions. And there are people who can, genuinely derive a lot of satisfaction from their work. But we all know that they could find infinite other ways to achieve that and better than that level of satisfaction if they weren't wage slaves and had control of their time. Should women have the right to work? You understand what incredibly deceptive language that is? In your society, do they have the right not to work? That's a better question.
That doesn't even make sense. Do they have the right not to work? Everybody works. Because everybody needs. Like, what is he even getting at? This guy is not making sense. The right not to work. Like I said, he's just trying to lay the groundwork for his stance. That's really what that's about. Let me see. Should have had this thing set up, man. Okay, let's see. Okay. I want to check out my stream, but the same token, it's like I can't. Because I have to, I'm broadcast to a whole other channel. But yeah, I think this guy's full of it, I really do.
I mean, look at how they manipulate language around this issue. Instead of just saying you have to work, they say that you have a career or you have a job, as if it's something that you gained, as if it's something, something that you have, rather than talking about all the things that you lose by having that, all of the things that you have to let go in order to keep hold of that job. They say you have a career, but what they mean is your employer has you. And that's where you spend most of your time. That's where you spend, most of your waking hours, 8, 9, 10 hours a day, plus however long it takes you to commute. So maybe up to around half of a 24-hour day. You are either going to work, at work, or coming home from work.
What is he talking about? 8, 10-hour days. I mean, what kind of employment is he talking about? I mean, you can argue when it comes to, what kind of job will pay you a decent wage. You can argue when it comes to hours. But the whole idea of going to work, the whole idea of making money is to, sustain yourself. Sustain yourself, being able to pay for what you want. And from that, if you're able to network with other people, you make it possible. You probably buy some real estate. Like you can put your money towards other things that will guarantee you it'll help you make more money to where your money makes money. You know, you can do that real estate stuff this side of town. I'm not sure about Saudi Arabia. Maybe there is avenues for that. Maybe there is avenues for Dubai. I'm not sure. Like I said, I mean, I've never been over there, so I wouldn't know. But yeah, real estate is like one of the surefire avenues to build your wealth. So people use their money to make money.
And then you get, if you're lucky, maybe 4 to 5 hours a day off, 4 to 5 hours a day left of free time. Look at that phrase, free time. Because, yes, in your free, democratic, liberated, independent country, most citizens only get about 4 to 5 hours a day of freedom. Because the rest of the time, you're at work. And work is extremely not democratic.
Okay, this dude sounds silly as hell. Like, it's hard for me to even entertain this whole conversation that he's having. It sounds stupid. It doesn't even make sense. And I'm not saying it doesn't make sense for this side of town. I'm saying it doesn't make sense, period. Yes, you work. You work to make money. And when you make money, you put that money towards what you want to do. You put that money towards stuff you desire. Your money makes money. It's not damn slavery. There's no freedom not to work. Because when there's freedom not to work, there's freedom to not eat. Like, really? I mean, this guy, I feel like a lot of this is just going towards him bolstering his narrative of women shouldn't work more than, trying to make sense. Because it doesn't make sense. I'm not going to pretend like this guy makes sense. I mean, listen to this again.
Hours a day left of free time. Look at that phrase, free time. Because, yes.
You're free to do what you want.
In your free, democratic, liberated, independent country, most citizens only get about 4 to 5 hours a day of freedom. Because the rest of the time, you're at work. And work is extremely not democratic.
Work is not democratic.
And you have no independence.
No independence.
You do what you're told. You wear what you're told. You eat when they let you. Your time is not your own. In some places, you even have to ask permission to use the restroom. So most of your waking hours are actually spent in a thoroughly totalitarian environment. In the land of the free and the home of the brave. And you get maybe 4 to 5 hours a day of freedom.
Okay.
And you're telling me that women...
Alright, man. Like, honestly, he's not saying anything. He's not saying anything that makes sense, which makes it hard to take him seriously. Because, I mean, look, man, like, that's the cost of working. When you work, when you're on a clock, of course, your time is not your own. If you want your time to be your own, then clock out and go do you. But you're not a slave there. You're not required to stay there. There's not a ball and chain around you. Like, you're not, like, it's not some setup to where, if you leave, you'll get shot. No, you're free to leave. You're just not free to leave with, money. And, I think women prefer independence. Not the way it's been used, nowadays, to where you're independent of, your own protection demographic or your own protection mechanism. Like, you don't want to be independent of the people who look after you, quote unquote. But you do want a level of say-so when it comes to your own personal well-being. You do want the freedom to choose. You want as much freedom as the man walks around with. There's nothing wrong with that. And, I feel like this guy is just bullshit, to be honest. I feel like his stuff is just really just in bad faith. I feel like he's just saying this stuff simply because, he's trying to push a whole point of women shouldn't work. Well, that's one side of the coin. If you're not working, then guess what? You're now living under the thumb of the person that is. They have the say so. You're basically reduced to a child. You know, you're an old kid. They, if they want to give you money, they'll give you money. If they don't want to give you money because you got into an argument or whatever, they don't have to give you money. Like, it becomes that kind of stuff when you live under the thumb of somebody else. That sounds like slavery. That sounds like a miserable condition. That sounds like, something you really don't want for yourself. I would rather work. I would rather choose work. Because I like the whole idea, of having a say. I don't want to be, forced to do this or forced to do that. I feel like anybody who wants to relinquish all control for the sake of basically being a dependent, I feel like that's very silly. So, but that's all I have to say when it comes to this. Okay, there's too many snipers looking my direction. Ooh, somebody got him. That's what's up.